Right, let's get into what Melissa Reddy had to say about Trent Alexander-Arnold. She said Real Madrid remains hugely interested in Trent Alexander-Arnold, and recent comments about winning the Ballon d'Or are very much singing off the Madrid hymn sheet. He's possibly the one who would take the most elbow grease in getting over the line. Thoughts on that? There's been a lot of stuff to try and figure out over the last couple of days, and what I've tried to get my head to is a place where I figure out if Trent wants to stay or Trent wants to weigh up his options. I think I'm at a point where Trent's preference is to stay, but we were always taught that the most difficult one was probably going to be Mohamed Salah. From speaking with David Lynch and other people, we always thought that would probably be the most difficult one for Liverpool to get over the line. But it feels like this one is the most difficult according to the feeling currently doing the rounds from the journalists. It's very clear that Virgil and Mo definitely want to stay, and compromise may have to be reached there. So, yeah, let us know your thoughts on the Trent situation. There's another report that Madrid want Dalot and think they can get him for 45 million. Yeah, Guillermo, we spoke about that on the channel a couple of times, mate. There's been a few reports. One saying that they wanted Pedro Porro of Spurs, and the other one, like you said they were looking at Diogo Dalot of Manchester United. And the figure that you've mentioned is kind of in and around the number that I'd seen mentioned as well. And I do wonder if they're starting to give up a little bit on Trent, or certainly feel like Trent isn't running with open arms to join them anyway. Melissa did say something actually, just to see what Gino said there. Gino said, I think all the signings will come over that Xmas period. Melissa mentioned something about a recreation perhaps of Virgil van Dijk's famous Christmas tree, initially holding up the Liverpool shirt that he was a Liverpool player. So, maybe she knows something we don't on that one. Who do you most want to get a contract, VVD, Mo or Trent? All of them, and I genuinely mean that. I think Virgil and Mo are probably, in the shorter term, the most important. But Trent has a big impact as well. As you've seen when he came off the bench against Newcastle, we looked transformed when Trent came on the pitch. So, all three, I know that's a cop-out answer, but they really are important players. But if I had to pick, I'd say Virgil and Mo are, in the shorter term, more important to where we currently are and what we're going to try and challenge for. Nevelin. So many trolls out. Hate it. Trent stay percentage. I really don't know, mate. Honestly, I don't want to give anybody false hope or false worries. I truly just don't know with Trent. Yeah, sorry, man. I don't know. I really, this is the one I've been really honest about all the way through, to say I've got absolutely no reading of this situation. Like, I just don't have a clue with Trent. So David Ornstein has said there's a growing belief around Anfield that both Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah will stay beyond this season, which is class. It does feel good that there is that growing belief around the club that both are going to extend, because let's be honest, they want to be here, we want them to be here, and hopefully we get the situation sorted out, and soon. Is it the positive news from Sky about Mo and VVD legit, or is it the club trying to give us a sense of false optimism? So, I believe it's legit. Now, I'm not labelling this at Sky, by the way, Roosba. I think there is a growing feeling that those two are going in the right direction. Now, I'm not going to say they're done, because I don't know that they're done. I don't at all. I think the Virgil one, I think that's, if not done, very, very likely to get done soon enough. The Mo one, do you know what? I'm just pleasantly surprised on this one, because I feared the worst a while back, but the more that I've kind of gotten to understand how much Mo wants to stay, and the more we've heard about his family and his kids being settled and enjoying their schooling and stuff, you'd hope that a compromise could be found there. And if you add in his form this season, the numbers he's putting up, I think it kind of got to a point where there was no way the club couldn't get a renewal with Mo. So, yeah, I think we've genuine reason to be optimistic on those two. I don't think it's anybody trying to pull our legs. David said, if we look down Mo and VVD, do you think Trent's contract will be let go to save money? Probably a ridiculous question, but with these owners, you never know. So if we lock down Mo and VVD, do you think Trent's contract? No, but I think Trent might use it to leverage a higher wage. They've played a few of their cards, Mo and Virgil, so they've told the club and the fans they want to stay. Yeah, they also have to look around and go, well, where else are they going to go, really? Well, they'll get the adulation. So they kind of have, I wouldn't say limited opportunities, but certainly the leverage was way more with Trent in this scenario because he's got the whole local boy thing coming into his prime, Real Madrid after him. I think he's the one that will be able to leverage the whole situation to his favour a lot more. How it works out, again, your guess is as good as mine, but certainly I think if I was to be negotiating from any of their positions, I'd want to be in Trent's because you're going to get a big payday. What happens if Trent doesn't sign? Would you sell him in January? So it's easy for me to sit here and say I would, but there's no way Trent's going to do that or his agent's going to do that. And again, it looks like Madrid don't even want to do that because unless I'm mistaken, there's been a lot of stuff out there to say that Madrid only want him on a free, which considering their dire need for a right back, if I'm Trent, that would make me even more uncertain about how much they really want you. So, for me, if he decided he didn't want to stay and he was going, yeah, if he's made the decision to leave, I would say, right, well, get the club a few quid and off you pop. But I can't see it happening because he'd probably be foregoing a good chunk of money if he did that. Selling Trent on a free would hurt a lot. Oh, mate, I've said this to you guys from day one and been really honest about it. There's no sugarcoating this to the fan base if Trent leaves. Like, you can see an argument if they didn't renew Virgil or Mo. We wouldn't agree with it, but they always had the age card up their sleeve. With Trent, there is nothing other than the club took their eye off the ball and shit the bed to allow it to get to this point. And I would say that there is some nervous people at Liverpool around the Trent situation because how do you allow this to happen? Like, how on earth do you allow a local boy potentially walk out on a free at 26 as he's coming into his prime? Yeah, there's no excusing it from the club's perspective if Trent doesn't sign. So that's why I said earlier on, if I could be in any of their positions in the negotiation, it would be Trent because he kind of has them by the balls. Because if he does leave, well, how do you go about replacing him? Because yes, we have Bradley, but Bradley's not the fully developed player yet, and he certainly doesn't have many of the attributes Trent does. So yeah, it is one thing I don't think that there is any excusing or sweet talking of the fan base. It will end up with a lot of angry Liverpool fans, and rightly so. But it'd be nice to hear Trent say he wants to stay, said Dave. Dave, I've said this exact thing, bro, many times. Even speaking with David Lynch, I've said it again. Yes, that's all I'd like to hear. Is Trent coming to the mix zone after one of the games and going, so yeah, the club, we're still talking with the club, my preference is to stay, why would I want to leave here? But I guess that probably also weakens his negotiating position, so I'm fine about it all being quiet as long as he stays. But if he doesn't stay, I think then you're going to see a very different reaction from the fan base. And I don't necessarily think that anger will be directed towards Trent as much as the club for allowing this position to materialise. Certainly, I'm never going to be toxic towards Trent about it. For me, I just feel if he does decide he wants to leave, be open, be honest with the fans and talk openly about it. Don't try and fool everybody for another 7 or 8 months or 6 months and drag it out a bit. If you've made that decision, be upfront to communicate it. And if he stays, brilliant. Then we don't, we just make sure we don't end up in this position again. Do you think we're wrong? Whatever you think about maybe any other opinions I've had on FSG or whatever, do you think I'm wrong or people in the chat are wrong to be pissed off that a local boy who's a generational talent, who's probably worth 100 million quid, has been let get to a position where he can walk out the door and the club receive nothing? Do you think that's good ownership? Genuinely. Because if you don't see that as a reason why people are having a pop at the owners, I don't know what to say to you, mate. Because I didn't grow up supporting the owners. I grew up supporting the football club. And the people who deliver the success of the football club are the managers and the players. The owners are there to just sign the fucking checks. And unfortunately for us, and my perspective, these owners haven't been cutting enough checks. And these owners have cheaped out on a lot of things. That's my view on them. I try to be fair and balanced and give them the credit when they do stuff well. I credited everybody for the Arne Slot appointment, you know. But you got to understand, like, there are a good group of Liverpool fans who feel that they're a bit too tight. And whilst you might say to me, but Craig, we've won stuff. I guess the question back from me would be, how much more might we have won with a bit more ambition? You know, rather than having one European club under Jurgen, could we have had two? Another league title? You know, so they're not the worst owners in the world. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anybody claims that they are. But the one word that I try to use constantly is, I think they're cheap. And they lied to us about the Super League and stabbed us all in the back and told us that this was happening. Then they gave us their horseshit apology. So there's a lot of stuff that just makes me not trust them.